I also want to acknowledge that someone pointed out to me that the evaluation form has got everybody scored 1 to 5, and this one is 1 to 6. So you keep on raising expectations. But I'm going to do my best, and I'll take you through pathways to excellence. But I thought I'd start, a lot of you asked me about my personal journey. I'll tell you about how I started Toastmasters. I'll tell you about being international president, and at least one story that we might find a little bit humorous about that, and then we'll delve into excellence. So I started Toastmasters way back in 1987. I was working as a COBOL programmer for a company called the Brunswick Telephone Company. And I was at my desk one day, and 2 engineers came to my desk, and they said, "Jim, you're a pretty bright guy, but you say nothing in meetings." And I said, "I'm a pretty bright guy." Come on. Not a really bright guy, but a pretty bright guy. But they were right, I'd say nothing in meetings. I was one of those people who, I'd sit in the meeting and fume about direction, strategy, and then I'd leave the meeting room and talk to my buddy, tap my ear off. "Can you believe we're doing that? That's dumb." So they brought me to Toastmasters, and quickly I started participating and developing rather quickly. And it was fun back in the day, because my club's St. John Toastmasters. Been around since 1954. It's the oldest club east of Montreal. And when I joined, we met at the Holiday Inn in St. John. So the 2 engineers and I would each leave work around 5 o'clock at varying times, and we'd go to the little restaurant where they had lunch and salads sitting on ice all that time. And if you bought a beer, you got access to the lunch and salads. So that's what we do. We buy a beer, we sit, and we'd eat the lunch and salads. And that was a science experience. That was, someone mentioned penicillin there the other day. That was an exercise in breeding bacteria. So I wouldn't do that today, but that's how we started. We'd have a beer and eat the salads. But you know what was great about that? I had about 45 minutes every week with my first 2 mentors in Toastmasters, Arnold and Bill. And I still kind of remember the first time I had to serve as timer saying, "So it's the green lighted one, right? And the yellow light at 90 seconds, and the red light at 2 minutes. Is that right?" I was very nervous. But that was really a foundational years for me in Toastmasters. So as you look, you can look up the paths you need to do to get to international president, all the roles you need to play. I told you yesterday, and it's true, I was never one to jump into positions. I'm selfish with my time, and I look to say, can I make a contribution? Am I going to learn from this assignment? Is now the right time? But eventually I served as district governor, district director. Then I waited a couple of years, ran for international director, and lost the first time, and then won the second time. So I was served from 2002, 2004 on the board. And then I waited. It was 2011 before I ran for the positions that lead to international president. You run for second vice president, then it's almost automatic. You're elected first vice president and president-elect. You serve as international president, and then immediately passed. So you're on the board for 5 years. But I lost the first time to Mohammed Barad. It was 58% to 42%, and I sulked for about 4 hours in my room after losing. And then realized, you got 42% of the vote. You're going to carry some of it next year. So if you carry 30%, you need 20% of the remaining 70. So I won the second year, and was proud to serve as international president. Now that role was all about serving as an internal ambassador, as I'm doing today, connecting you folks. Service as an external ambassador, so connecting with companies who have Toastmasters or want Toastmasters, and chairing the board of directors. So as an external ambassador, there were some pretty cool visits to connect with the Bank of America. We've got clubs in about 70 locations around the world. So while we call Bank of America, there are a lot of different locations. So that was kind of interesting to visit with. There's a company, there's a group in Japan who do a similar award to the Nobel Prize, the Inamori Foundation, I believe they call it. So really fascinating to visit with those folks as they consider bringing that into their organization. So those were some of the external ambassador roles. As an internal ambassador, it was a ton of fun to visit some of the 140 countries that we're in. So I had the honor of visiting Prague in the Czech Republic, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Thailand, Japan, Australia. Where am I missing? There's a bunch that I'm missing at the moment, but it's fabulous to connect with Toastmasters all over the world and see how this very simple process and program, supported so well by so many volunteers, touches the lives of so many people. And it amazes me just from a business perspective that, we've got about 150 staff We're now located in Colorado. So 150 staff supporting 16,000 clubs in 140 countries around the world with about 360,000 members. That's a really amazing ratio from a business standpoint of staff supporting people. But it's because of you, it's because of me, it's because of the cultures. We get involved in Toastmasters and we support the organization, don't we? So that works very, very well. So at least one story I'll tell you about serving as international president. So one of the great things was there's quite a lot of media. So I get an email from someone down at our world headquarters saying, you know, look, the Wall Street Journal wants to talk to Toastmasters about communication. And actually the coach of Michigan State football, he gets his players to do speeches in the room. And not about football, not about sports, just about personal stuff. So it's like a table topic when I had to connect with them. The Wall Street Journal calls and says, so why would the coach do that? I said, well, I don't know. But so I gave him my opinion. Well, I suppose that just makes them stronger communicators in a tough situation. They're not going to be the guys sitting fuming in a room saying, that's stupid, why are you doing that? You got to get those words out in the room. So that's what the quote in the Wall Street Journal was all about. Why would the coach invest in communication training for his college football players? So there's a bunch of other media. There was a big one here in Mississauga. There's some local publication, and I just recall, because I'm here, that it was a very, very extensive interview. But one of the cool ones was, after doing a dozen or so of those, I got an email from Dennis down in the PR department of Toastmasters. He says, look, I got a special assignment. It was July of 2016. He said, look, the Los Angeles Times wants you to give an evaluation of Donald Trump's acceptance speech at the Republic. I'm not going to reveal my politics. You can reveal your politics if you like. How would you like that phone call? So Dennis says, yeah, we want you to give an evaluation of his speech at the convention. I was silent. So Dennis says, no, this is good for us. This is good for us. It's not about the politics. They want you to evaluate Toastmaster style. Is it structured well? Are the gestures good, etc.? So I said yes, and so they had me and Mohammed Khatami offer evaluations. And the trick was, he said, look, they want you to watch it, evaluate it, get it emailed to us within an hour, because they want to post it and get it in the early edition. So that was an interesting exercise, and it's still out there. You want to Google it. It's easy to find on Google, I would think. And it was interesting to observe, as I recall, his speech was 74 minutes long. And there's some things, regardless of your politics, he's got some very good structural styles. So one of the things he was very good at is saying, if he wants to make a point, he says, think of this. Think of this. And just like you're doing, I've got your attention, and you're ready for whatever comes next. So Donald Trump's world is, think of this, Hillary had, So he had some very good strengths. And it was interesting, I did offer some constructive feedback. And one of the areas was, well, he overuses certain gestures, right? Overuses certain gestures. But additionally, it was very interesting because in analyzing him, he started out with a message on, we did it, I've been nominated, we've been successful. But very quickly, he turned to, my opponent, I did da. So from a leadership perspective, he started with the place, we did it, we're going to do more, us, and switched to me. So I wrote that in a little evaluation, about 8 paragraphs long. What ends up being the headline? Too much me, not enough we. But it was an interesting experience. I shared with you as one of the things I was invited to do. So then they had us do the same for Hillary, and Hillary is just very, very competent. If you watched her, if you do watch her, any of her speeches, not a lot of drama, just straightforward, and that's what my evaluation said, and what Mohammed Khatami said. Mohammed was the world champion of public speaking in 2015 or 2016. So it was a neat opportunity. What else would I like to take you through? So on the visits, I'll tell you this. When I travel, I like to experience the local foods. Dan Rex, our CEO, likes to do that as well. So a lot of experimental eaters here in the group. Yeah, nobody's too afraid. Some people would be reluctant. So I was in Shanghai actually in January, and so had the chance to dine on some stinky tofu. which you can order. So it's just fermented. It is sticky, but it's not going to kill you. I love trying the local foods. Chicken feet was fun. Not a lot of meat on chicken feet. And one of the really interesting visits was to District 74, which is 5 countries in southern Africa. So one of them is South Africa, one of them is Zimbabwe. So I had 1 day in Zimbabwe, which is fascinating. If you know anything about the country, they've had political strife, just a change in leadership. Their 94-year-old president was ousted. They've got a new president. They gave me as a souvenir a piece of their currency that they don't use any longer. And let me ask, how many zeros in a million? In a billion? In a trillion? In 10 trillion? 13. So I have a $10 trillion bill. You're looking at a 10 trillionaire standing on stage. You can buy one if you want. It costs you about $5, including postage. So they gave me a $10 trillion bill. I actually gave that to my little 12-year-old cousin who collects money, and he was very loud in a restaurant. $10 trillion. But one of their local delicacies is the mopani worm. Don't Google it now, they're ugly. But I said, look, I want to try the local cuisine, and they had lots of rice and lots of root vegetables, lots of mashed foods, and they brought out this big tray of mopani worms, and they're really pretty fat and not very appetizing looking. Not as bad as you think they'll be. I can see it on your face. So it was an interesting experience. I thought they tasted like licorice. They tell me no, but for my taste buds, they tasted like licorice. But I love trying the local cuisines wherever I go. So here it's butter tarts from my experience down in Streetsville. So let's see, what else? Well, let's talk about excellence in general. So I've been asked to talk about excellence, and I did some thinking about that, some research around it. But then I decided, you know what? I'm going to go to one of my Toastmaster clubs. And I went to my Rising Tide Toastmaster Club on Tuesday morning, 7:15 in St. John. And one of my favorite table topic techniques is just to take something in the news or an issue and use it during table topics. So self-driving cars, minimum basic income, immigration to New Brunswick and Atlantic Canada, that's a topic. And I like to start and say, all right, who wants to define why this is in the news, why this is an issue? So I did that with excellence. And I'll usually have 4 or 5 questions, and then the comments will drive more questions for table topics. So I turned to the group and I said, all right, who wants to define what excellence is? And one of the ladies, who's always reluctant to do table topics, her eyes bugged out and her arm shut up, and she says, look, I love this topic. She says, excellence is just about being your best, doing your best every time. It's not about perfection. She said, excellence moves the yardsticks. So in football terminology, right, you're never quite there. So she kept on going, excellence perfection, did I say that wrong? Perfection moves the yardsticks. Excellence is about doing your best every time. Perfection just holds you down. Perfection moves the yardsticks. So you never get to where you're going. I thought, wow, my research is complete, isn't it? That's a brilliant approach, and I love that way of thinking about it. And I've been there myself, where perfection made me stop from completing something. So Dana Lloyd told me that excellence was doing your best every time, not about perfection. So we did some more table topics, and I turned to one of the newer members. Her name's Kim. This was her second meeting, and she's doing her icebreaker Tuesday. So I turned to Kim and said, well, you joined Toastmasters. There's something you see here around excellence. What is it that you see? What's the excellence you're pursuing here? She said, well, I see you guys do speeches 5 to 7 minutes long, and I just can't imagine. I can do a 5 to 7 minute speech. So that told me, oh, well, excellence, it's really relative. It's relative based to where you are, isn't it? So excellence it's relative based on your position, your experience, your skills, etc. So then I turned to a guy named Jack. And he sells from Moosehead breweries to big corporations, to big restaurants. But in his spare time, his passion is he's a football referee. It must be good. He refereed in the Vanier Cup. That's the championship for all of Canada, right? So he told us a story one day about having to make a tough call that he wasn't entirely sure of, but it turned out to be correct. So that happened in the Vanier Cup for him. So I was surprised by his answer. I said, what's excellence for a referee? Because we don't think about the officials unless there's a spectacular failure, right? We don't want to see the referees, the umpires. So he said, well, for him, excellence in refereeing is simply about being ready and being in position. I thought that's pretty fascinating. So he wants to be ready and in position to make the right call. And I could relate to that because when I watch sports and someone scores a goal, I think, well, how did that happen? It was a penalty. How did that happen? I'm not paying attention, but for him, he needs to be in the moment, ready to make a call, extremely observant, and be in the right position to see who touched the ball last, where does it need to be spotted. But I thought that's relevant for all our lives, isn't it? For opportunities, we need to be ready. We need to be in position. So for me, that takes me to, look, if we're going to be skilled in communications or leadership, there's three things we need, and it relates to being ready and being in a position. Three things you need. You need a little bit of knowledge to be a great speaker or leader. You need a place to practice, and you need feedback. So let's focus on being a great speaker. The knowledge can come from 100 places, from YouTube videos, from one-day courses, from books, from all kinds of places. The knowledge is readily available. But you can have a PhD in communications and be a lousy speaker. It's not just about knowledge, but you need a place to practice. So if you're a teacher, if you're in sales, if you're presenting all the time, you've got ample opportunity to practice, but you don't get much feedback, do you? Teachers don't get much feedback, salespeople don't get much feedback. Or they get lots of places to practice, opportunities to practice, but no feedback. So you can get feedback from coaches or mentors, but if you don't have that, then you need to find a place. And Toastmasters bundles that all together exceptionally well. We'll provide you with the knowledge you need. We'll provide you with a place to practice on a regular basis. And we will provide you with ample feedback so you can continue to improve. So excellence, it's not about perfection, it's relative to your position, it's about being ready and in position to take advantage of opportunities. It's also a habit, and I'd like to make a plug, in my Toastmasters career, I've done DTM twice, I told you yesterday for those who are here. Don't know if I'll do the Distinguished Toastmaster again, that award, but I keep on doing the Competent Communicator Manual. And in Pathways, I'll do Presentation Mastery. Because for me, at my stage, I just want to keep on choosing topics, planning those speeches, delivering them before a live audience, looking to see, does the message seem to be landing? Are the brows wrinkled? Do I need to double back on anything? Do I need to explain it better? And to continue improving in that manner. So I'll continue to do speeches in that manner for the rest of my life. For me, I need to keep on practicing those skills. So excellence is about not perfection, it's relative position, it's about being ready, it's about being proud of your past successes but not complacent. So I want to end with, there's an article that I read some time ago that was very impactful for me. It's by a gentleman named Jack Zenger, Z-E-N-G-E-R. If we were in the USA, it would be Z-E-N-G-E-R. In Canada, it's Z-E-N-G-E-R. He writes quite